Have you ever wondered if the change in your pocket could be worth a fortune? From the mysterious 1967 quarter born in the silver transition era, to the rare 1969 and 1974 minting errors, and even the hidden treasures within the 1994 quarter, these coins might look ordinary, but some are secretly worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Each one carries a fascinating story, untold secrets, and shocking mistakes from the US Mint that collectors are still hunting for today. So don't blink, because as we go deeper, I'm going to reveal information that will leave you absolutely amazed and might just make you look at your pocket change in a whole new way. The 1967 quarter dollar is one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history, filled with mystery, change, and hidden value that has intrigued collectors for decades. This coin was minted during a time of great transformation in the United States coinage system, a time when silver was disappearing from everyday circulation. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver, but by 1967, the mint had completely switched to a copper-nickel composition due to rising silver prices. This sudden change caused panic and hoarding among Americans who believed silver coins would soon vanish forever. The 1967 quarter, therefore, marks the end of an era, the moment when America officially moved away from silver coins. Millions of these coins were minted, but hidden among them are a few that carry errors, varieties, and minting mysteries that make them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. When you look closely at the 1967 quarter, you might think it's just another ordinary coin, but don't be fooled. This was the only year between 1965 and 1967 when the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from coins. That means you won't find a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco anywhere on it. Why? Because the government was trying to stop coin collectors from hoarding specific mint issues. The mint wanted people to spend coins, not save them. But that decision itself created curiosity and confusion among collectors, making 1967 quarters a symbol of mystery. Imagine holding a coin that belongs to a period when the entire nation's coinage was under experiment, and no one knew which mint it came from. This lack of mint mark made the 1967 quarter unique in history and an important piece of America's economic story. The design of the 1967 quarter still carries the same classic look that Americans love: the portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, and the bold eagle on the reverse. But beneath that familiar face lies something more interesting: the hidden variations and striking errors that make certain 1967 quarters extremely valuable today. Some were struck with double dies, meaning you can see a faint doubling effect on the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." Others were struck slightly off-center or on the wrong metal planchets, making them incredibly rare. These errors were not intentional, they were accidents of production, but they turned ordinary 25-cent pieces into small treasures. Collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands for these unusual coins, especially if they are in uncirculated or proof-like condition. So the next time you find a 1967 quarter, take a second look. It might be more than just pocket change. Now, here's where the story gets even more exciting. Some rumors claim that a few 1967 quarters were mistakenly struck in silver instead of copper-nickel. Although official records say all 1967 quarters were made of the new clad material, coin experts and treasure hunters have spent decades searching for these mysterious silver strikes. Imagine finding a coin that was never supposed to exist, a true minting mistake that defied official policy. If such a coin does exist, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars today. This rumor continues to add suspense and thrill for collectors, keeping the hunt for the silver 1967 quarter alive. Every coin dealer and enthusiast dreams of being the one to uncover it, and that's what makes this coin one of the most talked about in modern U.S. history. In the end, the 1967 quarter dollar isn't just a coin. It's a story of change, mystery, and hidden fortune. It represents the transition from the old silver era to the modern economy, carrying within it the struggles, decisions, and surprises of an entire nation. Millions were produced, yet only a few remain in pristine or error form, making them prized possessions among collectors. Whether it's the missing mint mark mystery, the potential silver rumors, or the unique historical context, the 1967 quarter continues to spark curiosity and excitement. So before you dismiss that old quarter in your drawer, take a closer look. It might just be the key to uncovering one of America's hidden treasures. And in the next part, I'll reveal how to identify if your 1967 quarter is one of those rare and valuable ones, the kind that could turn a simple coin into a life-changing discovery. The 1969 quarter dollar is not just another piece of pocket change. It's a coin wrapped in mystery, transformation, and hidden value. Minted during a time of major shifts in U.S. coinage, this coin represents the nation's full embrace of the modern, non-silver era. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, but by 1969, America had fully transitioned to copper-nickel-clad coins, a decision that forever changed the history of U.S. currency. The government made this move to cut costs and stop the public from hoarding silver coins, which had become more valuable for their metal content than their face value. But what many people don't know is that the 1969 quarter became one of the most searched-for coins in history because of rare minting errors and a few mysterious variations that can turn this ordinary 25-cent piece into a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. So, if you think the 1969 quarter in your hand is just a regular one, think again, because it might be hiding a secret you never imagined. When you take a closer look at the 1969 quarter, you'll notice the famous design of George Washington on the front, a portrait that symbolizes strength and leadership, originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932. On the back, the bold eagle stands proudly, representing freedom and power. But here's where things get interesting. 1969 was a year when both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced quarters, and the San Francisco Mint released proof coins only. The ones with the D mint mark come from Denver, while the ones without a mint mark were made in Philadelphia. However, this year's production wasn't as smooth as it appeared. Some 1969 quarters came out with striking mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, and weakly struck designs, all of which have fascinated collectors for decades. One of the rarest types is the 1969 quarter with a strong double die on the obverse, where the letters Liberty and In God We Trust appear doubled, giving the coin a ghostly, almost supernatural appearance. Coins like these can fetch extremely high prices at auctions, making them the ultimate find for collectors. Now, here's where the story takes a mysterious turn. Rumors have long circulated that a few 1969 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier years. While official records claim all 1969 quarters were copper-nickel clad, some collectors insist they've encountered quarters that ring like silver and weigh slightly more than normal. Imagine holding a coin that shouldn't even exist. A silver 1969 quarter that escaped detection from the U.S. Mint. If proven real, such a coin could be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. This possibility has created suspense among treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts around the world, all searching through their old change hoping to uncover the rare silver error of 1969. It's this mystery, the thought that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight, that keeps people fascinated by the 1969 quarter even today. Another reason the 1969 quarter stands out is because of the historical and economic climate of the time. The late 1960s were years of major social and economic change in America. From the space race to the Vietnam War, the world was shifting fast, and so was U.S. coinage. Inflation was creeping in, coin shortages were common, and the mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins quickly. That rush often led to striking errors and small inconsistencies in the designs, mistakes that would later turn into collectors' treasures. Every mark, scratch, or doubled letter on a 1969 quarter tells a story of that fast-paced production era. So, when you hold a 1969 quarter, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding a small artifact from a time of rapid change and uncertainty in American history. In the end, the 1969 quarter dollar remains one of the most captivating coins of the modern U.S. era. Its value might seem small, but its story is huge, full of hidden potential, rare variations, and unsolved mysteries. Some collectors have found 1969 quarters worth thousands due to minting errors, while others continue to dream of discovering that elusive silver version that defies the official records. The beauty of this coin lies in the suspense it carries. Every 1969 quarter could be ordinary, or it could be extraordinary. So, before you spend that old quarter, take a moment to really look at it. Check its edges, its shine, its design details, because who knows? you might just be holding one of the rarest treasures in American coinage history. And in the next part, I'll tell you exactly how to identify if your 1969 quarter could be one of those rare and valuable ones that collectors are desperately hunting for today. The 1974 quarter dollar might seem like an ordinary coin at first glance, but behind its simple design lies a story filled with history, mystery, and hidden treasures that continue to amaze collectors even today. This coin was minted at a time when America's economy was changing rapidly, inflation was rising, and coin production was at its peak. Millions of 1974 quarters were produced by the U.S. Mint, yet some of them hold secrets that could make them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. By 1974, the United States had completely moved away from using silver in its regular coinage, so the 1974 quarter was made of a copper-nickel composition. However, rumors and confirmed discoveries of rare minting errors have made this coin one of the most searched-for quarters of the 1970s. It's a coin that represents both the end of one chapter in American coin history and the beginning of a new, modern era, and hidden within it are mysteries that collectors are still uncovering to this day. When you look closely at the 1974 quarter, you'll see the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, and the majestic eagle on the reverse, clutching arrows and an olive branch. But what makes the 1974 quarter special is not just its design, but the era it was born into. The 1970s were a time of experimentation and mass production at the U.S. Mint, which sometimes led to fascinating mistakes. The quarter was struck in 3 locations that year: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark for proof coins. These mint marks tell you where the coin was produced, but they also hide some interesting variations. Proof coins from San Francisco are known for their mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, while coins from Denver and Philadelphia were used in everyday transactions. However, among these millions of coins, a few were struck with rare errors, off-center strikes, double dies, and even wrong planchet errors that make them extremely valuable. Some 1974 quarters were accidentally struck on nickel or penny blanks, making them one-of-a-kind treasures that collectors dream of finding. Now, here's where the suspense begins. Rumors persist about a mysterious 1974 quarter struck in 40% silver, even though the U.S. Mint officially ended silver coin production in 1970. Some experts believe these rare quarters may have been struck accidentally using leftover silver planchets from the special 40% silver Eisenhower dollars. If such a quarter exists, it would be an incredible discovery worth thousands of dollars. In fact, stories have surfaced of coin enthusiasts who claim to have found 1974 quarters that sound like silver when dropped and weigh slightly more than the normal clad version. Imagine finding one of these by accident in your old change jar. A coin that looks ordinary but turns out to be a silver-struck rarity from an era when silver was long gone from circulation. That kind of discovery would be like finding buried treasure in your own home. And it's this possibility that keeps collectors and treasure hunters searching every 1974 quarter they can find. The 1974 quarter also holds significance because it was one of the last coins produced before the U.S. Mint's major design and metal composition changes that began in the late 1970s. By this time, the Mint was focused on efficiency, pumping out billions of coins for an expanding economy. Yet, despite such large-scale production, small variations in striking pressure, planchet quality, and die were created subtle differences from coin to coin, differences that can mean a fortune to the right collector. Some quarters from 1974 show strong doubling on the letters or date, making them valuable error coins. Others have unique luster, unusual toning, or sharp proof-like qualities that can raise their worth dramatically in the coin market. Collectors love the thrill of discovering these small imperfections because they tell a hidden story. A story of the moment the coin was born inside the Mint's powerful presses. Decades ago, in the end, the 1974 quarter dollar is more than just 25 cents. It's a piece of American history wrapped in mystery, rarity, and excitement. It tells the story of a nation evolving economically, of a mint perfecting its craft, and of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Even though billions were minted, only a handful carry those rare errors or silver-like properties that make them truly special. Every time someone picks up a 1974 quarter, there's a small chance they're holding something extraordinary, something that could be worth far more than its face value. So before you spend that old 1974 quarter, take a closer look. It might be hiding a secret from America's past. A secret that could surprise you, thrill you, and maybe even make you a small fortune. And in the next part, I'll show you how to identify those rare 1974 quarters that could change the way you look at your everyday change forever. The 1994 quarter dollar might look like an ordinary coin you could find in your pocket today, but it carries a story far deeper than most people realize. A story of history, rarity, and hidden surprises that still spark excitement among collectors. By 1994, the United States had already moved away from silver coinage for decades. Yet this year's quarter represents a key chapter in the evolution of modern American coins. Struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, the 1994 quarter continued the long-running Washington quarter series that began in 1932. But even though it looks like every other Washington quarter, the 1994 issue hides fascinating details, rare minting errors, and mysterious variations that can make certain coins worth far more than 25 cents. In fact, some rare 1994 quarters have been sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of small imperfections that the naked eye might miss. It's one of those coins that reminds us, even in modern times, treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, sometimes right in your pocket change. When you look closely at the 1994 quarter, you'll notice the classic design that millions of Americans have seen for decades. The proud face of George Washington on the obverse, originally sculpted by John Flanagan, and the mighty bald eagle on the reverse, symbolizing freedom and power. But 1994 was a special year for collectors because it came just before the U.S. Mint introduced the state quarters program in 1999, meaning the 1994 issue was one of the final years of the traditional eagle design. That fact alone gives it historical value, marking the end of an era. The coin was minted in 3 places: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark for proofs. Proof versions from San Francisco were struck with mirror-like finishes and sharper details, made specifically for collectors. Meanwhile, the coins from Philadelphia and Denver were intended for everyday use, but some of them came out with fascinating errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks that turned ordinary circulation coins into valuable collector's pieces. One of the most talked about mysteries of the 1994 quarter is the rare double die obverse variety. This error occurs when the design is accidentally struck twice at slightly different angles, causing the letters or numbers, especially the word Liberty or the date 1994, to appear doubled. It's subtle but unmistakable if you know what to look for. Collectors are willing to pay big money for these, especially when found in high-grade condition. Another rare type is the clipped planchet error, where a small portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a misfeed during minting. There are also a few known 1994 quarters struck on nickel or dime planchets, meaning they were accidentally made on the wrong metal disc. These mistakes are extremely rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on condition and visibility. So, every time someone checks their change and finds a 1994 quarter, there's always that feeling of suspense. Could this be one of those rare and valuable ones? The 1994 quarter also stands out for its place in American history. The early 1990s were a time of change and modernization for the U.S. Mint. Coin production was becoming more advanced, but even with better technology, human and machine errors still occurred. That's why so many interesting error coins exist from this era. The Mint was producing billions of coins to meet national demand, and even the smallest glitch in machinery could lead to a unique collectible coin. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck hundreds of millions of quarters in 1994, but not all were perfect. Some coins were struck slightly off-center, while others show weak strikes or strange textures due to worn dies. Each of these imperfections tells a story about the high-speed, high-pressure world of coin production in the 1990s, and those imperfections are what make collectors' hearts race today. In the end, the 1994 quarter dollar is more than just a 25-cent piece. It's a bridge between the classic and modern eras of U.S. coinage. It's a coin that represents both the end of the traditional eagle design and the beginning of the exciting new chapter that would come just a few years later with the state quarters. Hidden among the billions minted are rare variations and minting mistakes that have turned ordinary coins into valuable treasures. And that's what makes the 1994 quarter so fascinating. It's proof that even in a modern coin, history, mystery, and fortune can still be found. So before you spend that 1994 quarter sitting in your wallet, take a closer look at it. Check the date, the edges, and the fine details, because who knows? You might be holding one of those rare and valuable quarters that could turn out to be a collector's dream. And in the next part, I'll show you how to spot these rare features that could make your 1994 quarter worth far more than you ever imagined.